Matt Lauer the other day. Obama said, what do I got to do, paste my birth certificate to my forehead and wear it around? It's like, no, why don't you just try showing it one time? I mean, just
or at least, it would be a relief if you pasted it on there. At least we'd know you had it.
Right. And, Terry, Lieutenant Colonel Lakin, he was an Army officer at Schofield Barracks. He's seen many Hawaiian birth certificates. His child was born in Hawaii. He's signed off on and delivered, many babies. I don't believe in Hawaii, but he's signed many a birth certificate. He knows what they look like, and he knows what they don't look like. So it's not like he's. He knows what's legitimate and what's not, and so it's unfortunate Obama treats us, I feel like we're idiots in a way by claiming that. He's got to wear his birth certificate on his forehead. He knows what this is about. Obama is a very intelligent man, and he knows exactly what this is about. But like I said, he's an reflection.
Yes, and, come to find out, all of us who've just been so tormented by this for a couple of years have done all the research and found out that, the idea of that anyone who questions him as a racist, is clearly a tactic, and it worked for a while. And the other just brazen installing somebody like this in the White House is, maybe it was the right time because people felt that Americans would be too afraid to, bring this issue up, and so the tactics have come on and the destruction of people on this. But listen, I'm, thanks to God, still alive, and I've been writing about this for 2.5 years. I'm telling you, I'm sick of it because it's like, get over it already.
You're right.
So this
about
tactic.
That. Everybody that
and then we all end up.
Then
we all end up. Yeah. Then we all end up on Janet Napolitano's Homeland Security list, and then we get. These quote-unquote, liberal organizations, the Southern Poverty Law Center, listing all the Tea Party members as absolute white, racist, bigots, threat to national security. And this has been going on, and now what we have experienced, in my view, in the last couple of years as people who've been concerned about this is exactly what Americans are going through in airport security right now. Is, they're just touching everywhere, conditioning us to get used to basically ignoring the law. And, I think sort of to go off on a little non sequitur, but I don't know about the radiation characteristics of those things. I don't know if the, pat-downs are just basically to get everybody irradiated and, we all end up with a bad case of cancer. So, please disavow me of that view.
Well, no, the CTs, we were getting a little carried away with these, 24 slice CTs or 64 slice CTs, I think was all the rage there, and now they've realized we're starting to over-radiate people, so now they have low-dose CTs, and so you're right in some of that, and some of these diagnostic equipment, I don't know specifically what kind of radiation exposure you get, but certainly we're finding out that it's certainly more than we thought originally with regard to some of these other diagnostic instruments. But yeah, one thing
it's just invasive, dehumanizing, and ultimately unhealthy. And there's just everything that's being done right now, in my view, is just very much an assault on our rights. And, before we even know it, there's something else going on. And so this goes back, in my view, to the eligibility. Now, one of the reasons I started the Usurpathon, and many of us came to this same conclusion, which is basically a marathon. We're going to work on this until this guy is out of there. Is because I got sick of getting these, petitions over the email. Sign this and oppose that and do this and do that. When very simply the guy's ineligible. And, he should never have gotten there in the first place. And we can now name names. We know who did this, in terms of who monkeyed with the paperwork and so forth. So he's got a handful of people, which is why the Kirshner and Obama case is going on. Let me just break in here for just a little bit. Let me look in our chat room. Great. If anyone has a question, please call in. Yeah. I think the main points there are risk, and this is what I understand as well, is the same time that motivated Terry. Underlying love for country, love of the military, but the risk of not having an eligible commander-in-chief is serious. So that must have weighed into that.
Oh, it did. No, he's, when you go into the military, you know that you're willing to sacrifice your life for your country, and so this is just an extension of that. Really, he thinks that it is such an important issue, to make sure that, the most powerful man in the world is actually held accountable and actually qualified to hold the position.
I want to check something with you, and I guess it's more on a personal level, because I used to be a very staunch Democrat, and just completely have dropped all of that. I'm unaffiliated right now, but I have to admit that my view of Obama is not only that he is ineligible, but he's public enemy number one. I'm saying this is just my view, because of the changes that I see happening. Now, our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence says, no government should be overthrown for frivolous reasons. And the Fourth Amendment, or Article 4, Section 4, guarantees to every state a Republican form of government. And we have an amendment process, Article 5 amendment, if we want to move towards socialism, or if we want to change these various systems. And so when I look at what has happened with someone who, in my view, is a foreigner, and since I've written about him quite a bit, I really see his Marxist background. I don't like what I see, but it is, I would say, in one word, it's anti-American. In fact, that's the one thing that got me into researching Obama in 2008, was like, how come he really doesn't like America? I mean, what is this? And my background research led me all the way to this point, and I see it as a danger. Now, I live where I live, and I try to keep up on things, and I've looked at all the stories and write about it and so forth, and I'm scared. And I wonder, since you said you were a quote-unquote extreme moderate, is there a reality check there? Do you see any kind of similar dangers in terms of large-scale takeover, large-scale things that you see happening that people should be, that don't seem right, quote-unquote, right in terms of our country to you? Or am I truly a right-wing, person?
No, we're certainly
Napolitano's list.
We're certainly concerned about, Obamacare and the health care issue, and originally, what we have, I think most providers and Democrats and Republicans alike think that people should have, everybody should have access to health care and quality health care. Once again, the idea of how to get there is what we differ in, and Obamacare, I think, is not only setting us up for failure, and this is my opinion, but pretty soon, healthcare providers are going to be painted as the bad guy. I can just see what's in our future. They did not pass any form of tort reform whatsoever. We practice defensive medicine all the time. Healthcare costs are ever raising, even though reimbursements are going down for everybody. But most of that is because a lot of the payers invested poorly. They invested in the market too. I'm talking about different insurance companies invested in the market and lost a lot of that money in the market. Medicare monies have been all spent. Medicaid monies were utilized excessively, and so and again, no tort reform whatsoever. So we have to continue to practice defensive medicine for fear of being sued. There's a zillion former attorneys out there, or a zillion attorneys out there that wish to, that are starving, so I just think it's destined to fail, and the only way you can make people buy into the socialistic type of healthcare is to demonize healthcare providers. Pretty soon it'll be our fault that the monies are dried up, or that when it's government mismanagement. I've never seen a federal program that's ever worked, and so and I think our AMA and some of those other agencies that are supposed to be our lobbyists, I think they jumped on board initially thinking the cause was just, but then as time moved on and it started taking a different direction, they're starting to. It's kind of like that movie. Remember the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, and he started to fight back against street gangs and those, and we were all on board. And as you followed him, he got more bizarre and more extreme, and pretty soon you felt kind of dirty for signing up, but you were. And I think that's the way it is with many of our medical lobbying agencies and stuff. Is they initially signed up for the good cause, but as they see how it's being manipulated, they're starting to have concerns. And so do you stay involved and try to make change from within, or do you break away and say you were wrong? It's